everybody, and welcome to the Hot Tag with your girl Izzy. Today I am so excited and honored to be joined by a WWE Hall of Famer, WCW legend, and former WCW champion. He is good God, chisel stone, and B-A-D-D, bad to the bone. He is an anomaly, the founder of DDP Yoga, Diamond Dallas Page. What's up?
It's all about the holidays right now for me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have, we were just talking about my background and all this amazing, stuff I have down here. If you go upstairs and you see my house that's been decorated, it would seem like I don't even have a picture down here. That's how intense, we've got villages,
Oh my God.
Christmas villages. Sometimes I'll do them. This year, my daughter did a bunch of them. Brittany, I mean, she just killed it. She got a Grinch tree that falls to the side. That's at the top of the stairs. Grinch shit everywhere. It's just like one scene after another. We have in one area we have about 80 Santa Clauses, all different days. It's just crazy, but I love it. And we start decorating literally on Halloween. Stuff starts coming up, and normally the Halloween stuff comes down, the Christmas stuff goes up.
I'm exactly the same way. I have 4 trees up in my house. We're
oh wow,
we go all out for Christmas, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think yours is better. You have a Grinch tree, you have different scenes.
Oh yeah, we've got about 12 Christmas trees that are trees, and then there's a bunch of little trees. There's probably about 30 Christmas trees in this house, but most of them are like that little forest Christmas trees that literally just scenes and stuff. There's scenes everywhere in my house, and this year, I know people aren't supposed to, getting together and stuff, but I have to do a Christmas party every year. But I'm going to make it you can't get in unless you've had a COVID test and show the paper. I can't get in, So,
yes,
my employees, it's mainly for my employees, but some of my friends will be here too, but they don't get in without a sheet that said you just got tested. I've got the antibodies. My girl Paige has got the antibodies. My daughter Brittany, who lives with us too, I've always called her a unicorn. But after living with her for the last year, I realized she's also a vampire. So I've dubbed her Univamp. And when we got really sick, she took care of everybody and never got anything. So crazy times, man. But I'm not going to, I think that everybody should be careful, and we are taking it's not like just show up. Like I said, you got to have a COVID-free, negative, what is it called? When you get diagnosis, you have to have that to get into place. So I don't know anybody who does that kind of stuff, but we're doing it just to be safe. And whatever happens at that point. And it's not going to be the normal huge crowd that we have, but this time of year, I think it's important for people to get out too, because there's a lot of negative mental things about being cooped up and can't go anywhere. It's a lot of mental health things, I think. So where do you draw the line? I think you do it like I'm doing it. And if people agree with me, cool. If they don't, then
whatever.
Whatever, right? Whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's really great to hear that you're staying safe and you're finding ways, to cope with the whole pandemic. Now, before we get to the questions, I think it's very appropriate to talk about wrestling, obviously. So either it's a specific person or show, what have you been into lately?
Well, last night I saw some good stuff. I was watching AEW, and I film everything, and then I go through what I want to watch. With WWE, I watch everything. That anytime Randy Orton's doing something, me and Drew McIntyre are super tight. Talk to him all the time. I watch NXT stuff. Tommaso Ciampa he's a good buddy of mine, and when he came back from his neck injury, the first place he came was right here. And he worked with me for a couple of days, and I just sent him my new DDPY jack straps. He got them before anybody did, and he loves them. That's a new workout that we put together. That's all around BFR. It's called blood flow restriction training, and it works perfectly with DDPY. So he's got the straps. McIntyre's got the straps. Edge has got them. Send them to guys that I'm good friends with that I also want to see heal back. Now, Edge is coming back from a tricep tear. So, it'll really help him a lot because that's what they use. Like when someone like Edge has an injury, the first place he goes is see Dr. Andrews, who's in Birmingham. The guy who's going to be his head of PT therapy, physical therapy, is going to be a guy named Kevin. Kevin uses my straps.
Oh, that's what a small world.
DDPY Jack straps. Yeah, well, it came together because how I developed these through a company that was called Rock Cuffs, and they were okay, but they didn't really have the usability that you need to be able to put them into a workout. So Chet, who owns Rock Cuffs, and I partnered up, and anywhere that he had Rock Cuffs, he resent out DDPY Jack straps.
Oh,
and so Edge will be working with that, that he already has for his rehab, and I sent them to him. So I watch those guys, the guys that I consider friends, and Cody, of course, he's like a nephew to me. So I'm going to watch AEW stuff as it comes along. And Brian Pillman had texted me to tell me that he was getting a shot to do a tag team, on Dynamite, and I was really pumped to see my boy Stinger there. Because me and Sting are TNT. We're both WWE Hall of Famers because Vince owns everything. And it's really cool to see Sting show up there. And I would loved it if the people would have been there because they would have lost their minds.
Yeah,
They're losing it all.
Yeah. I did see on social media, like everybody like posting the videos, and I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. And like the people, like the some people that were there, they were losing their minds. Like it's
right.
Such a cool moment.
Well, Stinger was the franchise, for WCW. I was right there next to him, along with Goldberg, friggin', because we all came up. We are the guys who came out of that, Booker T, another one. Matter of fact, someone had sent me a Mount Rushmore for WCW, and it's Sting, Goldberg, me, and Book, which is
perfect.
That's pretty cool.
That's 100% correct.
Because if you talk about Ric Flair, who is everything on all levels, he's really seen as NWA. Dusty, who ran WCW, was really seen NWA. So for the WCW guys, even Kevin and Scott, who started there, they made their fame in WWE. So bottom line is, I think that's a pretty solid, group of guys that they came together, and at one point, along with the NWO, we kicked the ass of the WWE, which is pretty fun.
Definitely. Well, you were just mentioning about Sting, and we all saw that he returned to TNT for the first time in 18 years for AEW's Dynamite. Winter is coming, but we all know you guys have a lot of history. Are we going to see a Sting and Diamond Dallas Page reunion sprinkled in there somewhere?
So funny you say that. I would say no, but I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool to be out there with Sting? You know what I mean? At the same time, and doing some kind of match, not against each other, tag teaming, against some of the heels. Yeah, I think it would really get a number. Sting saved me so many times. That he came out of the ceiling so many damn times. And I don't know if you ever saw this, because you would have to have caught it on the WWE Network or on YouTube, but Sting had come down out of the sky after I had hit I attacked Randy Savage at the heat of our feud,
Mhm.
and NWO, I didn't care. They were all out there. I attacked Randy. Hulk eventually hits me with a belt, which sends me to the floor. Sting comes down and he stands over me. Now, no one is supposed to come at us
Mhm.
because he's got to hook me up. And it's
Oh
a
yeah,
dangerous stunt.
yeah.
And I wasn't scared in any way until I got hit to the floor. And then he didn't grab me right away. He started fighting guys off. And he's like, they're not supposed to do this. So now he's got to move and he's hooked to his rope and he's beating guys down. And then he clicks me and I'm laid out flat. And under my jacket, I've got this incredible brace that comes around your chest, which is so tight, it's hard to breathe. So
Oh
thank God I knew how to breathe at that time. And getting that the short get deep in and out, I calmed myself down and he clicked me and they picked me up a little bit and then we took off.
oh my
And
goodness.
the people went crazy and I thought, I got my eyes closed, and I thought, I'm never going to see this again. So I opened my eyes and everybody was like, ah, just screaming. It was so crazy. We got to the top and it's a catwalk all up on those arenas
Yeah,
like
I hear you
that.
saying.
I, I grabbed that railing like I was a cat trying to get out of a tub. And I threw myself up and over, and then I was upside down, and my feet were in the air because the catwalk was really tight, and Sting was just hovering there, and there was a light behind him. And I looked at him and I said, "My God, you really are Batman."
That's an amazing story. Definitely goes down for the ages. Now, I wanted to get into your upcoming film called Relentless, where you explained in the trailer that you were about to sign a multi-million 3-year deal, but you ruptured your L4 and L5. You then turned to yoga, and that led you down the path to create DDP Yoga. So tell us, like, how did you get to that place where you were able to recognize the benefits of yoga and taking that to the next level to create DDPY?
Actually, I literally had just signed the 3-year deal, and it was
Mhm.
multiple millions of dollars guaranteed. And it was the first time I'd really gotten paid. And then Kev on the road, we were on a road in a tag team, and he hit me with a power bomb, and I felt like someone shot me in the back. And it wasn't. He always laid me flat. He gave you your own body, but it wasn't that bump. It was the bump that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And
Yeah.
um, I am the guy for the first 42 years of my life that wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. But when you're about to lose your career and you finally got paid, because I didn't make any money compared, everybody else was making 7 figures in 97 and 98. I was on top the whole time. I
Mhm.
made like 275, which is still a lot of money, but when you're putting your body through all the torture they were going through, it's nothing compared to the spot and the numbers that I was drawing in pay-per-views and was a part of drawing on Nitro and Thunder. So you know, for me to walk away from that injured, that would have been it looked like the worst thing that ever happened to me. Let's just put it like that.
Mhm.
And in turn, Izzy, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I tell people all the time, sometimes you got to breathe through the anxiety that comes with something that looks like one of the worst things that ever happened to you. Because not every time, but a lot of times they can be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because at that point, I realized that flexibility was youth, not just in my body, but in my mind. Like
Yeah.
my mind had to become flexible to think of the idea like, okay, you can do yoga. You got to try it. And back in those days, there was no yoga. It wasn't even DVDs. It was VHS tapes that had someone modifying the position. So
Okay.
anybody who starts doing any kind of yoga, if they're injured or they're really out of shape, they can't do it
Mhm.
because they don't have the mobility. So what I had to figure out was how to modify the positions so that
Okay.
anyone could do them. And because that's where I was at. And after about 3 weeks, I started to feel a significant difference. And I was still doing rehab. Now, at this point in my life, at 42, almost 43, I'd ruptured both rotator cuffs. I had torn my meniscus in my right knee, tore my ACL, and a part of my kneecap. I hit by a car when I was 12. So I had figured out a lot of rehab, but I did a lot of rehab for my upper body. And so I started to mix the rehab with the yoga positions. I was like, wow, that really works. And then I threw in some Pilates moves. I threw in um, some old school calisthenics done with a slow burn movement. So what I did was I created this thing today known as DDPY or DDP Yoga. I don't have people have a problem calling it DDP Yoga for anybody. It's when they call it just yoga because it's not. Yoga's like in a box over there with millions of people who love yoga. I always say, most yogis are very namaste. DDPY, way more T and A. And I
Yes.
mean tone and attitude, and in less than 3 months of putting these things together, I was back in the ring. Now I had to go. I went to 3 spine specialists, told me my career was over. I had to go back to the guy's name was Dr. Edwards here in Atlanta. He's one of the best spinal surgeons on the planet. And he was like, you're done, but, just you got to start taking care of yourself now. When I came back and I showed him what I could do, he said he had never seen a recovery, anything like that. No surgery. And less than 3 months, I was back. At 42, they said my career is over. 43, I'm the world champ. So I knew I was going to be doing that workout the rest of my life. So that's I didn't really think of it as a business. I just thought about it at the time. I'm going to need to do this the rest of my life. Same way you brush your teeth, or wash your hair. You
Yes.
got to, there's certain things you have to do. And this was going to be something, that I was going to have to do the rest of my life. And it's not something that I consider a chore. I love doing it because it makes me feel great.
Yeah, I totally get it. And I do like the DDPY, and it's like it's so much fun and challenging. Like, and also I have scoliosis, so it's like it definitely helps me in so
Oh,
many ways. So I definitely like get where you're coming from and everything. Now, since we're on the topic of DDP yoga, I think we of course need to discuss the resurrection of Jake the Snake. That film
oh yeah.
was Yes, definitely. That film was truly an incredible story about your relationship with Jake the Snake. We saw his battle with substance abuse and how you utilized your DDP yoga to ultimately change his life. Now, that movie really touched me because I have family members that used to struggle with substance abuse. So when I first saw the movie, it definitely hit home for me. At any point, did you find yourself saying, wow, this is bigger than wrestling and even yoga. It's changing and saving lives of people just like Jake.
Um, without question, um, when I started doing it, I just wanted to help Jake because I don't live in this ridiculous mansion I live in. I don't have I don't have DDP yoga. I don't have any of this without Jake originally helping me with my career
Mm-hmm.
and reaching out and being a brother and mentoring me. So for me, when we started that film, I really I called it the resurrection of Jake the Snake before he ever moved here because that was my goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I saw. But to be really honest, everybody thought I was crazy because they didn't they didn't see it. You mentioned Relentless right before this
Yeah.
question. I never got to that. Relentless is my journey of, you know, going through this time of creating this workout. There was a lot of, you know, ups and downs, like
Yeah.
really, you know, I call it emotional gravity. You know, that's why I wrote the book, Positively Unstoppable,
Yeah.
The Art of Owning It, because I wanted people to have a blueprint of how to reboot their brain. And that's what Relentless is all about, the journey from me blowing my back out to where we are today. Going back to Jake, of course, Jake is going to have a piece in there as well, because the resurrection, to me, I think of everything I've ever done in my life is my finest work, because I got to help not one but two of my brothers, you know, Jake Roberts and Scott Hall, who both helped me. Me and Scott have helped each other. I'll help him or he helps me. And every time we've done it, it's been defining moments in our lives. And that's the beauty of the resurrection of Jake the Snake. One of the things that Austin has said, he said it in when I first brought Jake into my house. He was like, "Kid, if you can get Jake Roberts to change his life, your shit's for real." You know, and Steve's all through Relentless, because he told me in the beginning I was out of my mind. Like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing, bro? Stop. You know, it's poor. I was $548,000 that I invested of my own money into this program in 8 years. You know, it was an 8-year overnight success. And a big part of that was the resurrection of Jake the Snake, because first it was a disabled veteran I helped, and then Shark Tank, and then Jake. And then people just couldn't say, "Oh, this is bullshit." Because all you got to do is go on the internet and read what people say about the program. You know, I got written a beautiful thing on my Twitter. Somebody DM me. It's a girl I've been helping on and off for a little over a year, and she's down 168 pounds so far.
Wow, that's awesome.
And,
That is incredible.
and she's got 100 more to go. She was a big girl. She got 100 more to go at her next deal, but she works so hard. I call her Red. She's on our Twitter feed and, you know, on all our social media, because we have the most. I don't know if you've ever been to our Facebook, and I don't mean our page. On Facebook, DDP Yoga, one word, is a members site where members just go. My buddy Chris Gabriano started it, and he just started it to get the group of guys together that they could talk. And now it's got 54,000 people.
That's awesome.
And crazy,
That's
right?
Yeah.
But it's the greatest online community for helping each other. It's pretty amazing.
Definitely. And for everybody watching, you know, you can go check out the Facebook group. Like you just said, you know, it's truly incredible that, you know, you have this whole almost like this secret little society, you know, supporting DDP Yoga. Now, I want to get into your career. You know, you definitely defied the odds, you know, with your journey through pro wrestling while inspiring people, including myself. You know, looking at two ends of the spectrum, you have people my age that may be saying, I am way
How old are you now? How old are you now?
I'm 13.
13. You're amazing. I want to say something. Like, I'm listening to you. There's people who are doing jobs backstage, interviewing people who aren't doing it as well as you're doing it.
Oh my God, that means so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And Izzy, I don't mean that they're bad.
No.
I just mean that you like your stuff. I'm listening to you, and you remind me of my daughter Lexi, who's very, you know, she was born older. You know, she just thinks older, and that's how you think. It's pretty cool. So I go to your next question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You know, that means the world to me. So as I was saying, you know, you have defied the odds with your career while inspiring people, including myself. Looking at two ends of the
Mm.
spectrum, you may have people like my age saying that I'm way too young to even think I'm going to be a pro wrestler one day. Then you have other people saying that the dream has already passed by me because I'm too old.
Mm.
What advice would you give to people, both young and old, based off of your experience and journey as a pro wrestler?
I'll put it like this to you. I don't care if they're a child
Mhm.
or if they are 40 or 50 years old. I tell everyone, find something, find something that you love to do, and then figure out a way to get someone to pay you to do it. If you knew how many hours I worked, it would boggle your mind because you'd be like, God, you're always working. But I love what I do so much that I don't really feel like I'm working at all.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky in a way. I've been doing that my whole life. And I'll give you an example. When people say they're too old, you know, I got in the ring to train to be a professional wrestler at 35,
Mhm.
35 and a half. My career took off when I was 40.
Yes.
And the career I had from 40 on was sick. I mean, at the highest level that you could be in our business. The only people I would say were higher than me were the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the Ric Flairs, because of all the lineage and everything. Hulk Hogan, you know, The Rock. Those are the only guys that Stinger, you know. But I was right up there with all the top names in the world. But it didn't take off till I was 40. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
at at 40, at 47, at 48, I made the decision. I went out to Hollywood at 46 and started studying acting. And I realized, even though I was in a cool bunch of, not a bunch, but a couple of cool things like Devil's Rejects and a couple other things I did on TV, I realized that no one was going to take me seriously as an actor, you know, at 48, 49, 50 years old. So I still kept doing it. And I still kept focused on it. I still kept training and studying while I'm pushing the new thing that I'm doing. It was called Yoga for Regular Guys in the beginning. I'm in my late 40s. And at that times when I started investing 100, 200, 300, 400, $548,000 in, it took 8 years for me to be an overnight success in professional wrestling. I started in '88 as in the AWA as a manager and a color commentator. My career took off in 1996, eight
Okay.
years. It took me 8 years for DDP Yoga to become an overnight success. And for the last 9 years, it just keeps going. And
Yeah.
it's becoming a household name. My acting career, I've never stopped working on it. In the beginning, probably maybe the second quarter. I'm hoping for the first quarter, but it might be the second quarter of 2021. You'll see a show come out called Guardians of Justice. And it's a very dark superhero show that it's called an Adi Shankar experience. Adi Shankar is he's a savant, he's a genius. And he is the one who created this show, and it's my show,
That's awesome.
and
That's
it's
incredible.
but my point is, when you tell me people say they're too old, I made a my goal that I set to myself was when I worked with Danny Trejo 12 years ago on excuse me, not 12, 15 years ago on Devil's Rejects. I watched Danny become an A-list actor in his mid 60s.
Okay.
That's my goal, to be an A-list actor by the time I'm 68. And what I mean by that is I could support myself just on acting. That's a goal I set to myself 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And you're really like the reason I'm positively unstoppable is because all the things that are in this book, I teach people through not just my own anecdotes, but other people's that did what a lot of people would think that's impossible. Oh, but they did it. How did they do that? And everything comes down. This Positively Unstoppable is about the art of owning it. It is that 6-inch piece of real estate in between your ears. The story you tell yourself is everything. How did I get Jake Roberts to turn his life around? I got him to stop telling himself the story that he was. Yes, you were abused as a child. Yes, you had a really tough childhood. Now let that shit go and focus on all the amazing things that are happening in your life. When I got back with Jake, he was at a point where he was waiting to die. The only reason he didn't kill himself, because he'd already caused enough shit in his family. He didn't want to do any more damage to his kids than he already had. And for so hard, and if anyone's ever seen The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, go on Amazon Prime. That's where you'll find it. It's an unbelievable documentary. I would believe that Relentless will be up within the next 3 weeks on Amazon Prime.
Awesome.
But everybody will know if they just come to our site, and you'll see it, and you'll tell your people. But it's another really powerful documentary. And it's never too late as long as you're willing to change the story you tell yourself and start believing in yourself. And most importantly, put the work in. And that's pretty much, oh, I can't do it. I'm too old, so I'll do nothing. Or I'll just complain. There's probably 75% of our society is like that. And then there's the other people who go, I'm not doing that. Like I'm sure if you first said, when did you start doing this show?
So it's actually a year old. So like last year, yeah.
So 2 years ago, if you told people you were going to do this show, and I'm probably sure that's when it started in your head, you were 11. And if you would have told someone who's a big wrestling fan, oh yeah, and I'm going to have Diamond Dallas Page on my show, and they would go, are you crazy? You're a kid. Why would he come on? And the reason I did, you reached out to me, but I went and looked and saw how hard you were working and what you were doing. And then I had Marlon vet you.
Yes. And
I said, I like this kid. She's working hard. Right now, she's living a dream. If you think everything I think is true, book her. Because people ask me every day. I get 3 or 4, will you be on my podcast? Because everyone's got a podcast now. And the answer is no, because I don't have the time. But when I see someone who's really putting the work in and is doing something that most people would see as, that'll never happen. And then you make it happen. So That's why I'm on your show.
Thank you so much. You almost made me cry. I was not planning to cry for this interview. I promise. So we're about to move on to the last question, which I'm really sad about because we were having a great interview. So
I'll come back at some point.
We need to do a round 2. I'm just saying, we need a round 2. So DDP Yoga has really become like the staple for pro wrestling training. It's no longer lifting weights, hitting the ropes, taking bumps. We've seen NXT superstars use it, Chris Jericho, Mick Foley, Scott Hall, and even people outside the business like NFL alumni, Vance Hines, Arthur Borman, everybody use DDPY. Like I said, I also use it because I have scoliosis and it's making me stronger every single day. But when I tell people, but when I tell people that, yoga is a part of my training, they kind of look at me sideways because everybody believed in the more traditional training when it comes to wrestling. So how did you make the naysayers think that yoga is beneficial and not like just a side gig, if you will?
It's all about branding. First of all, you call it yoga. I call it DDPY,
Yes.
or I call it DDP Yoga, because Eric Bischoff taught me a long time ago, there's better than. And anyone who isn't the best, and for a long time it was just Hulk Hogan, or it was Ric Flair, or Steve Austin. Everyone under that is less than. So there's better than, there's less than. Everyone else will be less than unless you're different than. And I've always been different than. I didn't get into do yoga because I wanted to do yoga. I'm the guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. But I needed it. And then once I did get enlightened to what it really was, I was like, wow, this shit is amazing. And my body's starting to feel better, but it wasn't giving me everything. So then I started to add all these other things in. And before you knew it, I had my own thing. So, you know, I let people, I said, here's how you can use yoga. You can use it as DDP yoga or what PY. DDPY is Diamond Dallas Page's yoga for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. And there are people who do yoga who love my program, but it's a small percentage because they're looking for more of this and this. And that's not what I'm about. You know, I'm about, you know, just having a fun, kick-ass workout at every level. I'll tell you the biggest thing, the biggest compliment I get, Izzy, is from people who are beat up, people who are big, people who are not in shape, and they've come up to me, hugged me, and said, I can't tell you what you've done for me. You've made it okay for me to hit pause or lower to a knee or step in and make it easy. You made it okay. Where another trainer might be going, come on, you've got this. Come on, put that back. You know, that's not how I go, you know. I will still inspire people to go to another level. But first, all my beginning workouts, there's always someone modifying. So in case someone like me shows up to do it before I had done any of this, and I saw my workouts, I'd have been doing the modifications. And then slowly and slowly and slowly, I would be losing those modifications and be on the next level, the next level. The number one thing, and Jake Roberts has said it 100 times in interviews, DDPY, the program, gives me confidence. And how it gives you confidence, things you couldn't do before, now you can. I've watched people's lives, like we have and we're about to start it again. So anybody out there, if you want to look to transform your life, we start a contest every January 1st. You can still get in right on up till April, but you have 6 months and it ends in October.
Okay.
And the bottom line is, over that 6-month period, you got to document your journey. You got to document from the pictures, video, workouts, the whole thing. And then you also got to read this book. Because I want to know how much mentally you change. Mentally. That whole rebooting your brain. And then the last thing's documentation. We have 4 people this year that all have unbelievable transformation in a 6-month period. They were all completely different, but to me and my crew, when we looked at it, was like, all 4 of these people deserve to be number 1. So what's the next level? Well, then I had to go to, okay, where did they transform mentally? What is the new story they tell themselves? And you can tell by months as they pass by because they're talking to the video. Then after you get done to that, how do you document your journey? That's a whole nother level of work. Example would be, if you're watching Arthur Borman's video and he doesn't show you all the struggles that he has, and he can't walk, and he falls flat on his face, and at the end of the video, he's running. If you don't see the struggle, you don't appreciate that run. And his kid, Warren, documented everything. That's why he really put us on the map.
Yeah,
Vance
really
Hines, completely different, but he did the same thing, but it was completely different.
good.
Everyone's journey is different. And we will start. We're about to pick. We have 4 people. I was only supposed to have 3, and which means I have to give up more money because I can't choose 3. I had to pick 4, and out of that 4, we'll figure out who's going to be, because we'll go through those next thing: mental transformation and the documentation. That's how the contest runs. And bottom line is, we're starting it again January 1st. So anyone's out there, and what was really beautiful, I know that all the people who pretty much made it to the end, because they've been all interviewed and stuff, none of them did it for the money. It's a nice plus, you know, but none of them did it for the money. They all did it for the extra motivation to help them not just start to change their life, but own their lives. And that's really what I'm trying to get people to do. And they don't have to, people don't have to eat the way I eat. They can eat any way they want to do. But if they're really beat up and they really want to get the results, then you're not just doing the program, but I'm going to teach you how to eat and how to think. And just because obviously for you, it's not really working that well. So I've come up with a pretty strong formula that works. And it's something that I've believed in and been doing for over 20 years, and as a business over 17 years. So I'm pretty excited the way things are going. It's a very dark time right now. Anybody who's watching, you can try the program. Go to, right now it's 30% off, I believe, and I'm never 30% off any other time, but over the holidays. Starts at Black Friday, and it's on the app and the DVDs. But the app, you can try that for 7 days and go, you know what, this don't work for me, and you just cost you nothing. Same thing with the DVDs. Take DVDs, you don't want them, send them back. We literally, and we expected to get 5% of everything sent back. 1.2% of our DVDs.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Like, I just got to say, that's incredible. That's killer.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I'm just super grateful to be in a spot to be able to help a lot of people, because right now when you're sitting at home and you're just sitting watching TV, I love sitting and watching Netflix, but you've got to stay active. You've got to, I don't care if it's walk around the block, walk a couple times around the block, you know, do some push-ups, sit-ups, whatever, you know, do some kind of activity. You know, getting cold right now, ain't nothing better than DDPY. And again, don't take my word for it. Go to that Facebook site and put a link up there so they can go check that out.
I definitely will. And you literally answered my next question, you know, where to find DDP Yoga. So everybody watching, make sure you go check it out. I use it. Some of the greatest use it. So definitely go check it out. It's life-changing. It really is. And first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. I had such a great time. You know, this was a dream interview and really something like game-changing for me. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Keep doing what you're doing. After Relentless comes out, get a hold of Marlon and we'll come back on and we'll talk about that. All right?
Perfect, definitely. And I kind of need the full experience, but can we do the diamond cutter to end off the show?
Absolutely. Because I want to tell everybody out there to do your DDPY or else bang!